Good evening, everyone. Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Nathan Judd joining you for this edition of Nate at 8. We enjoyed another beautiful day across the Ohio Valley, but now the changes are upon us, and we're going to be tracking more cloud cover and more rain now as we extend into the weekend. This will start a stretch of some wet weather going into the weekend. So now's the time this evening of what remains, as well as tomorrow morning, to enjoy the dry weather as it lasts. Maybe continue to wrap up some yard work you may have started, or maybe need to do some yard work. Now's the time, because once those showers of thunderstorms break out tomorrow, well, it's just on and off likely all the way into the weekends. That's why I say a wet stretch of weather. So coming up on this edition of Day to Date, we already touched a bit on what we're going to be tracking. Again, rain returns for your Thursday. So we'll break that down with your future cast and give you an idea what time to watch for those showers and thunderstorms. And then, like I mentioned, that just starts a wet pattern into Saturday. So we'll also be taking a closer look at those showers or thunderstorms extending into the weekend. When do they taper off for the weekend? How's the weekend shaping up to be? And we're also going to be breaking down the potential for some impacts coming our way over the next couple of days as well, in terms of severe thunderstorms and flooding. Both are possible over the next couple of days. We'll be breaking that down as well, and then tracking that rain going into the weekend before we likely dry up as we extend further into the weekend. So we'll also touch on that. So let's jump into things, shall we? Starting off with those temperatures we had today, and well, we were a little further into the 80s today. The high coming in at 84 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. Not quite the warmest day of the year at the airport. That was still 86 degrees on April 19th. That also coincided when we had a low of 65 degrees, and today's low was 64 at the airport. So that was the warmest low temperature that we've had dating back since April 19th. And again, almost getting close to the warmest high we've had, but coming up short. That was 86 at 84. But nonetheless, this is still one of the warmest days we've had so far for this year. And, rivaling one of the warmest mornings we've had as well, with those lows into the mid 60s. High temperatures warmer at New Philadelphia, 88 degrees. The hottest here locally, 86 Pittsburgh, 85 Zanesville. Just as hot there. Then looking further towards our southeast, Morgantown, Clarksburg also coming in at 88 degrees for high. So while the airport didn't quite reach it, some of us did get well in the 80s and not too far at all from that 90-degree mark. And temperatures trended a bit warmer today. You may have also noticed this trend a bit higher, the dew points. So, we've been refreshing 40s below 55. That's what it was yesterday. But today we climbed back closer to, and at times just in the 60s. So at times today, you may have noticed it felt a little muggy out there across the area, and we'll likely see this continue as we do extend over the next couple of days. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if those dew points do climb a bit more, and we can hover around the mid 60s at times. So that is certainly the threshold where it will feel muggy to us at times the next couple of days before dew points will then lower for the weekend, and you could say it's more tolerable and even more pleasant, I would say, at times throughout the weekend. But Thursday and Friday, the next 2 days, are the days to watch, as it will be muggy for us over the next couple of days with the return of those showers and thunderstorms. And Austin joining us this evening on YouTube, saying today was a hot day, very hot day. It certainly was. The temperatures ramping up today, and so hot that actually maybe go to sleep today. I can't wait for the cooler weather to return, Austin says. And yeah, especially coming off of those cool days that we had for a lot of the past several weeks, right? Yesterday broke the 18-day stretch, almost 3 weeks in a row. We had not had a high above 80 degrees or even reach 80, and we broke that stretch yesterday. And of course, today was even further in the 80s. So certainly not accustomed to deal with these warm days. So yeah, when temperatures are ramping up well in the 80s, it's certainly feeling hot to us, no doubt about it. And it can feel, not that the humidity is going to be a big factor in making it feel even warmer, but I would say that tomorrow, despite temperatures could technically trend even a little bit cooler, but it will be very similar. When we factor in a little higher humidity, tomorrow may even feel a little warmer to us before there is a bit of a cool down then for Friday. So that's something to note tomorrow as well. Once the dew points climb up a little bit more, again, I don't think it's going to be a big factor on the heat index. It's not going to feel a whole lot warmer than it actually is, but I think it can ultimately still feel a little hotter tomorrow before we do notice a little bit of a cool down Friday and a further cool down then for this weekend. Sean say good evening, Nathan from Uricksville, Ohio. You do an awesome job at WTVN. Well, thank you so much there. I appreciate those kind words. Suzanne joining us as well. Hello there to you. Thank you all for tuning in on this Wednesday evening. And we're still enjoying, again, a gorgeous evening across the Ohio Valley. A few more clouds in the mix that will carry over tonight, but still some quiet weather. So you haven't made it out yet. You got a little bit of time, 45 minutes or so, to the Holy Trinity Trinity Greek Fest, and this was certainly going to be the best evening setting up for the Greek Fest downtown Steubenville. Things wrapping up at the 9 o'clock hour. I think they mentioned the kitchen closes at 8, so a little bit late for that. But this was certainly the best evening for the Holy Trinity Greek Fest. Not to say these aren't washouts the next 2 days, but plan on enjoying the festivities there. Just be prepared to dodge some rain over the next couple of days as we do look ahead from again, it goes up until 9 o'clock, so things starting to wrap up there, 45 more minutes. But yeah, certainly the next couple of days, certainly I think if you can sneak in, so things start off there around 11 o'clock. So if you go around midday tomorrow, it's still likely dry. So if you didn't have the chance to make it this evening and you don't want to have to deal with any rain, I think you can go tomorrow to the Holy Trinity Greek Fest right around midday. I still think it's going to be dry. Once we get closer to about 2-3 o'clock, I think that's the time period to watch for these showers and thunderstorms developing. And once they do develop, they'll stay with us then for the remainder of the afternoon and evening hours tomorrow. Still more on, off, scattered, right? But they are with us even as we go through tomorrow night as well as into Friday. And yes, Friday will likely spot some even for the morning hours as well as the afternoon and evening, and still dealing with some of these showers and thunderstorms then continuing Friday night into Saturday. Although at this point, after sunrise Saturday, the coverage should start to drop off. So we'll likely notice it be more widely scattered, but there still could be a few showers around for the day Saturday. Rain chances then should lower going into the end of the day. And then from there, we should be noticing only a slight chance to pick up a shower the second half of the weekend. So I think a good portion of the weekend can end up dry. But what we have starting tomorrow afternoon, that's a wet stretch of weather for the latter part of tomorrow, Friday, as well as into Saturday morning. That's it's just on and off, just round after round of rain coming our way during that stretch. And yes, unfortunately, the potential for impacts is there. Severe weather outlook is there for Thursday as well as into Friday. Thankfully, for both days, it doesn't look like a very high risk for severe weather, but nonetheless, the potential is there. Maybe a little higher risk tomorrow, just due to the fact that I think Friday features a lot of cloud cover, that rain in the morning, that can hinder that severe threat Friday. But with the dry conditions leading up to those thunderstorms, tomorrow afternoon, maybe a little better odds to sneak in a severe thunderstorm later into the day on Thursday, tomorrow. Damaging winds would be the primary concern. So thankfully, the risk for tornadoes or large hail looking low, but damaging winds is possible with any severe thunderstorm that does develop for the latter part of tomorrow, looking for downburst potential within those, and still can deal with some very high winds with that. So still, don't want to take it lightly, as we still could deal with some high winds within any severe thunderstorm that happens to develop. Again, as it stands now, you notice we're on the category 1 in the green there, meaning the threat more isolated or doing more of a low threat in general. But still, that nonetheless, the potential is there. So we're going to keep a close eye on conditions going into tomorrow afternoon. And again, if we were to see a severe thunderstorm develop, that damaging winds would be the primary concern. Now, in addition to that, we're seeing some heavy downpours within these thunderstorms, and the potential's there if we see those storms just going over the same location, dealing with a round of rain after a round of heavy rain, that's where we deal with localized flooding concerns. So nothing on a widespread scale, but some locations could deal with some flooding as we're dealing with those heavy downpours. Just if we see those storms over the same location going throughout that time period, tomorrow afternoon, evening, then localized flooding is a concern as well. Those are the two threats to watch for. And even as we go into Friday, that severe weather threat, again, it's still present in our area, still under that level 1, still saying the threat's more isolated or lower. But I do think that that cloud cover Friday, that rain that we can have in the morning as well, can put a damper on the severe threat Friday. So hopefully we can stray away from any severe threat Friday, but we'll still keep an eye on it. I think a little higher odds for Thursday with respect to Friday when it comes to a potential for severe weather. Now, in terms of the excessive rainfall, I think the risk is there both days. So I think that the potential is there both days equally in terms of into Friday as well. Yes, we can deal with it. Still heavy downpours within thunderstorms throughout the day Friday. And again, it's just a matter of if we're seeing those storms moving over the same location, that's what causes the flooding concern with those rounds of just heavy downpours within those thunderstorms. So we'll have to watch for localized flooding potential again Friday as well. Now, by Saturday, those risks will fall off, even though we're still dealing with some showers continuing. That risk for the flooding, severe weather will likely fall off. A few showers are likely to start off the weekend. Then by Sunday, I think we can sneak in a dry day, but as early as Monday, there comes more showers and thunderstorms. So we're not getting as long of a dry stretch as what we just came off of looking ahead through this weekend into early next week. As again, as early as Monday, we're likely dealing with more showers and thunderstorms moving back in. Joe saying, good evening. Hope you had a good day. Thank you so much there, Joe. I hope you did as well. I sure did. Thank you for the nice weather. Last couple of days has certainly been nice, hasn't it, Suzanne? Not looking forward to the rain, but thank God no tornadoes in the risk. Yes, thankfully the risk for tornadoes is very low for us. Still potential for some high winds that still can cause some significant damage if it comes to fruition. Hopefully not, but we're still going to keep a very close eye on that in the latter part of tomorrow. But yes, thankfully not dealing with a high risk there for tornadoes tomorrow with that severe threat. We're going to see any sharp lightning from this rain. Certainly we'll deal with some lightning. Yes, some lightning and heavy downpours within these thunderstorms. And again, the potential there, if one does become severe, maybe some high winds as well. And in addition to that, with these heavy downpours, yes, likely dealing with some lightning in this as well, that we deal with the potential for localized flooding. So that is what we're watching for over the next couple of days. And again, I think the severe threat, probably more of an emphasis on Thursday with respect to Friday, but I think the potential for localized flooding is pretty even there from Thursday and Friday. So we're going to keep a close eye on that over the next couple of days before thankfully that risk will lower then on Saturday with just some lingering showers. And again, by Sunday, I think we can sneak in at least one dry day there. By Monday, though, those showers and thunderstorms will quickly return. We can't even see a shower linger into Tuesday. There is when we can sneak in, I think, a dry stretch again of at least a couple, if not a few days around the middle to latter part of next week. So now is the time. Obviously the evening and not too much longer before it comes to an end and the sun sets, but you get out and sneak out here quickly and maybe do some yard work before the sun sets, or if you can do it tomorrow morning is another good time. And then after that, it's likely going to have to hold off until Sunday. As again, there's breaks. If you don't mind cutting the grass wet, you still can do it, but I don't think going to be able to get by without cutting it wet as we do extend through a lot of this period through Saturday, but before Sunday. So if you want to hold off, I think Sunday can get the yard work in. After that, probably gonna have to hold off maybe Tuesday, not Wednesday. So those are the time periods coming up. Best time to enjoy the outdoors or catch up on some yard work. Looking ahead at your 9+1 day forecast, it does look like then in the following weekend we can spot some showers and thunderstorms returning. Temperatures during the stretch, fairly seasonable. Not really any cool days looking ahead. Not really any real warm days either. I think for a lot of the stretch, we can get into a stretch here where highs are still well in the 70s, nearing 80. For a lot of that starting Friday going through the middle of next week. So it's more of a seasonable stretch, nothing real cool, certainly not any chilly mornings ahead. A lot of these mornings, our temperatures are likely even into the 60s, if not near 60. A little bit of a cooler morning there into the middle of next week with lows back in the 50s, but it does look like we're turning that corner and ditching those real chilly mornings for a lot of the stretch looking ahead, as well as any of those real cool days. I don't think we're going to see a return of what we had at the end of May looking ahead for this month, or really extending throughout our summer months now. So if you've been hoping that we're turning the corner from what we just came off of at the end of May, I think so. I think, this is going to be a warmer stretch of weather now, and we're likely not going to see anything as great as what we just saw with that cool of a stretch of weather at the end of May as we look ahead now for our summer months. And of course, we're counting down to the start of summer, the summer solstice on the 20th. That also marks the longest day of the year for us in the Ohio Valley. And after that, even though we don't typically think of it this way, we do technically, actually, our days get shorter as we do extend throughout summer. Our days get longer throughout winter. We don't typically think of it that way, but that is the case. So once we get past that summer solstice, we'll see those days just gradually get shorter and shorter. But leading up to the 20th, it's our longest day of the year. And of course, now those late sunsets are upon us, and we'll deal with those late sunsets even extending in July. And certainly, dealing with a nice, I don't know about you guys, but certainly like to see those later sunsets. It's nice to be able to enjoy enjoy more of that evening. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. I hope you had a wonderful day. Enjoy this beautiful stretch of weather. Unfortunately, yes, it's coming to an end. We're getting back to some rain. Hopefully not getting too much over, one location over a short period of time, right? We don't want any flooding concerns. We are picking up some more rain coming our way, but we'll keep an eye on that potential there, localized flooding. Again, the potential for severe thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon and evening. Damaging winds are the primary concern. So make sure to stay tuned for that, for the latest as we go through tomorrow, as we see how conditions are setting up in the morning, leading in the afternoon. And make sure to stay tuned for the latest. You can always catch me coming up tonight, News 9 at 10 on Fox 9, News 9 tonight at 11 for the latest. And as always, we're right back here for that next edition of Nate at 8. So we'll have the latest on probably likely tracking some showers and thunderstorms at that point tomorrow for that next edition of Nate at 8. Until then, I hope everyone has a wonderful night, and I'll see you tomorrow for that next edition of Nate at 8.